Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Oil Painter. Good morning, Art by Elijah. I think I'm saying that right. Um, it is Sunday morning, almost 11 a.m., starting a wee bit early, just because I'm ready, I think. It is November 17th. My name is Teri Hunter, and I'm here with messages from your angels by astrological rising sign. I'm here every week at 11 a.m. Pacific time live. So I hope you'll join me. Good morning, Irene. Good morning, Cole. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so we've had some suggestions in the comments about the game because the game is, albeit frustrating to say the least, because very few people are winning. So next week, I'm going to start pulling 2 numbers a week. So that's what I'm going to let you do. I want to offer you guys, stay away from the master numbers, 111, 222, 333 for now. I think you'd be better served if you were doing normal numbers like 181. This is the number that was this week. And unfortunately, we did not have a winner. So that's why I'm going to start pulling 2. I can't go back and change the rules of the game because I'm not going back to make more numbers that we've already used. Good morning, Cece Pups. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Cosmo Kid. Good morning, Small Wildflowers. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so I was thinking about this week's animal totem, or our totem to connect with spirit. And I got to tell you, every time I checked in, all I saw were water wings. You know what little kids wear in the pool during the summertime? They put on their arms. And personally, you know, I've just had, I'm in my Saturn return. I think you guys know that, being 60 years old, that's lined up. And with this conjunction, it's just been like walking through mud. And so when I was saying to Spirit, you know, what inspiring thing can I give to the audience this week? They just kept showing me water wings. You know, it's kind of a thing where, what did water wings do? They support you. Where do they support you? They support you in the water. What does water represent? Our emotional bodies. So for this week, I kind of just want to say, maybe if this is the funny thing. In the United States, it is fall. We don't see a lot of summer things right now. And yet water wings to me represent summer. So I guess the way I want to put it is, it's time to start paying attention to weird, random things that don't make sense. Things that may be only pertinent to you as an individual. And if indeed you see them 2, 3 times, 4 times really, then start to pay attention and look deeper into what the potential meaning would be. So while I don't think that necessarily water wings is the greatest animal totem to connect with spirit, when I really reflect on it, it's actually kind of perfect at the same time. In some ways, I'm like a child to spirit because my ego scares the crap out of me. My ego will remind me that I'm not, the greatest thing since sliced bread. And yet at the same time, I feel compelled to move my story forward. And that's what Saturn and Pluto are doing. So I'm going to put on my water wings this week, my metaphorical water wings. And if it gets stormy, I'm just going to float on my back. I'm just going to relax and sort of wait for the storm to pass. And we have this week Mercury going direct, so we will be in the storm period of Mercury towards the end of the week. And we'll have Mars entering its natural sign of Scorpio. And I say that because it's the traditional ruler for Scorpio. That Mars energy can be really exciting. It can really dig deep for the truth. It can also make things a little bit spiky. It can also make people a little bit combative and argumentative. So pay attention and do your best to wear your water wings and maybe float your way out. Backstroke. Okay. All right. Good morning, Bonnie. So good to see you here live. Good morning, Melissa. I think I got everybody. Good morning, Gloria. Okay. Let's start. And as usual, we are going to be going backwards, which is forwards here. And it's funny because now I'm getting so used to going backwards that when I hear going forwards, I lose my place. Cool, that's awesome. If you're seeing master numbers, especially since April 2018, which is when this Saturn, Saturn moved into Capricorn at the end of December 2017. So it's been inching towards, Pluto. So the more we can connect with spirit, the more we pay attention to those master numbers. The ones are going to represent our thought. The 2s are going to ask us how we're acting in relationship, in partnership. The 3 is going to be the sign of the teacher. How are we learning? Are we resisting some of our opportunities for growth? 4 is the number of the master builder, and it goes on. 5s to me represent freedom. So pay attention, Cole, because you're getting a message. And if you're seeing them backwards and forwards, they may even go deeper. I've started noticing when I notice the clock at 8:30, whether it's morning or evening, the 8 plus 3 reduces down to a 1. And that's where Spirit is constantly reminding me, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Because my thoughts have been focused in on challenges. They have not been focused in on opportunities. And as I focus in on the challenges, it feels like they grow. And even though I know what to do, it doesn't mean I can always implement those things. And sometimes I was telling a client this week, I said, my mind feels like I'm at a carnival sometimes. And I'm just at that shooting range, and I'm trying to hit each one of the ducks, bam, 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 bam. And each one of those ducks is the you done me wrong duck, you done me wrong duck. So again, this is part of my own personal storm period. It's my own personal opportunity to see how my mind has been stamped with a certain pattern, and then do my best to float on my back as I shift into the thoughts that serve me at a higher level. Okay, here we go. Good morning. I'm not sure how to say that. Angatur? Okay. All right. Yes. And everybody put in your numbers. We're going to have 2. I'm going to pull 2 numbers this week. I'm going to start. That's going to be the new thing, just so we can start to plug. I'm looking for some winners, and I can't really, my Saturn in the 10th house won't let me cheat. I thought about cheating this week. Thought about throwing 181 out and pulling a number until somebody won, and then I just couldn't do it. I guess I'm a bit of a rule follower in my rebellion. Rocky, the numbers are between 2 and 500. 700 would be out of range. Okay, here we go. Welcome, Cameroon. I'm going to say it that way. Cole, we said hello. Pay attention to the numbers on the tarot cards, Cole. Okay, here we go. Deb, 919 will be out of 91 would be all right if it's not out of play, or 19, but 919 is out of range. Okay, here we start. Good morning, La Luna. Good morning, Sir Gordon Gecko. Good morning, Maria. Pay attention, pay attention. Those 13s reduce down to a 4. So Maria, you could be at Spirit could be saying with the 1s, what are you thinking? Because the 13s are representing building a new foundation. Okay. All right. Good morning, Yvonne. Good morning, Miss A. Kirshi. All right, here we go. Margot, good morning. Yvonne, good morning. Okay. Starting with Pisces rising, Pisces moon, Pisces sun, and Pisces stelliums. I'm kind of the thought, guys, if you have a cluster of planets in a sign, you should pay attention to it. It may not be your rising sign. It may not be your sun or your moon. It may be Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, any one of those. If there's a cluster, 3 or more planets, pay attention. There's something important there. All right, here we go. Pisces, our first angel is Caressa. The second is Omega. The third is Xana. And the final is Rosetta. All right. Yes, the fishies. Here come the fishies. Margot, pay attention to Scorpio stellium, and Mars is going into Scorpio this week. So that will have a lot of influence on you for the next 2 months, I think, or month and a half. I'm not quite sure. I think it's almost 2 months. Okay. Jupiter rising in Pisces. How nice is that? That's a fun place to have that placement. Good morning, Maria. Okay, here we go. Caressa is being joined by the Wasp. Omega is being joined by the Death card. Xana is being joined by the Wealth card, and Rosetta is being joined by the Movement card. Okay, this is what I want to say for my Pisces rising, sun, moon, and stelliums. Caressa talks about being at the end of a life cycle, that there is new happiness that awaits you, but there's a certain sense of sadness about this. If you see, she's sort of sitting in the darkest before the dawn. And I don't know if you can see in the card, but there are dolphins in the background. And so this is asking God and the angels to comfort and guide you as you go on to the new chapter. And here's the Wasp. Challenging energy, guys, really challenging energy. So what I want to say is that this Wasp, which represents the stinging energy, can represent jealousy, anger, which we'll see going on. this, you know, with this conjunction, people are acting a little over the top. I want to offer this to Pisces. I think whether this is coming at you or you're feeling it yourself, it's starting to come to an end. We are reaching a crescendo of this transit that only happens once every 184 years. And it is about bubbling up the deeper truth. And sometimes that deeper truth isn't going to make other people happy. So I feel like as Pisces gives life to the idea that I'm surrendering to this closing of a chapter. And it may be a metaphorical chapter. It may be the way you're feeling about a dynamic. It may be the way that your spiritual beliefs have shifted over the years. Because in the opportunity obstacle, there is victory as you surrender to this transformation, to the death of the old and to the giving life to the new. Because Xana and the wealth card are offering you protection in the angel's advice. And this is harmonious wealth. This is not necessarily financial wealth, because one can be very financially fluid and yet still be miserable. So when I see the wealth card, it's about harmonious wealth. It's about thriving in my emotional body, my physical body, my mental body, my intimate body. Because Pisces, rising sun, moon, and stelliums, as you give life to this chapter closing, to letting whatever is not congruent to what you really want to experience, because this is about having the innocence of a child and moving forward. It may not be something that necessarily, I want to put it this way. If Pisces has been playing by the rules, being a good team player, being a good partner, but it has not been authentic to what you really want, that could be the ending of the cycle. And it's about you allowing yourself the privilege of believing that if you step forward in what you want, you will be guided and protected by spirit to a higher level of fulfillment on this planet. And so while we do these readings every week, they feel like they're starting to stack up a little bit and starting to tell a story. And that story is, as we really look for our own true north, as we allow ourselves permission. I just looked to the south, by the way. I should have gone that way. But anyway, as we go to our true north, then inadvertently, it may be rough in the beginning, but the experience that others will have as a result of us doing that will spark something within them. I've been feeling lately that Spirit's been showing me that many of us are being activated by this transit. And what they're showing me by activation is that our true self is activating a light within us, which then is starting to look like those. I picture them like those Chinese lanterns when they do the ceremony and they light the lantern and then they send it off with a hope or a wish up into the sky. And I feel like many of us that come, if not all of us that come here on Sundays, whether you come every week or not, you are part of a team of souls that is being activated to stand light. So for not only for Pisces, but for every sign, this is true right now. So as we surrender to the death, the death of the old, and give birth to the new idea that there is new happiness that awaits us, we can much more calmly or peacefully go through this situation. And when I say peacefully, I want to offer it this way, guys. It doesn't mean the absence of annoyance or the absence of indecision or the absence of insecurity. It's more the opposite. It's like maybe there's a wisdom to my insecure moment. Maybe there is a wisdom to whatever this feeling is that is not lining up with what I'm actually experiencing. I think I mentioned last week that I haven't done my stats all year, to look and see how my business is growing. But I've been feeling like I've been said walking in mud, feeling like I'm dragging my feet. And then when I went and did my statistics, they reflected a different story. So it really became even more obvious to me that how I feel is so paramount to my experience. Because on paper, my experience looked great. And on the inside, I was feeling, no, I don't feel that same exhilaration as I was feeling. I didn't feel as empowered. And I just had to surrender to the Saturn of it, the Saturn Pluto, the K2. K2 is in there asking us to be egoless. All right. I know I kind of talk a lot, guys, but it's just how I roll. All right, here we go on to Aquarius, rising sun, moon, and stelliums. Good morning, Sophie. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Debbie Ruth. I hope I said that. Good morning. Oh, I did say, okay, good. Miss A. You know, facing a financial conditions for 11 years is an interesting dynamic because that will give you a sense of thought that will continue that momentum in some ways. um, Mrs. A. Kirishi, I guess is how you say it. I want to offer this idea. As you can step outside of the experience that you're actually having and start to invite in more abundance, this could be the potential of things starting to roll another direction. Um, this is why I brought up my statistics, because what I discovered was my statistics were reflecting something better than I was feeling. I know that how I feel manifests my experience. So what I did from there, because my fear was not subsided, my fear and my trepidation has not calmed down. Cole, you'll have to look at your natal chart and then put the transits around it. But right now, everybody is going through this conjunction in Capricorn. So, whatever house Capricorn represents for you will be where your opportunities are. Mine are in my career sector, which are in the 10th house, affecting also my fourth house. They're in a conversation. So, in any case, what I'm trying to say is what I did was I put myself in the neutral zone. Sometimes I do word finder. I just have this little book. I bought it for earthquake emergencies and I play with it all the time. There's something about it that allows my mind to not think too far in the past or too far in the future. So I want to offer, as you swim through these next few months and you see, you know, all the opportunities that this holiday season and the beginning of 2020 will bring to us, it will be easier to allow for the birthing of the new and the releasing of the old. Okay. Tang style, if you've got Jupiter conjunct your natal sun, just have a party, man. That's a great thing. That's awesome. Cool. Okay. All right. Welcome, Sandra. Welcome, Kat Aaron Davis. Okay, I'm going on to Aquarius. Here we go. Aquarius rising sun, moon, and stelliums, and Aquarius rising sun, moon, and stelliums. I said them all. Okay. All right, here we go. Our first angel is Archangel Gabriel. The second is Rosetta. Oh, the third is Athena, and the final is Rochelle. Very, very fun. All right, here we go. Good morning, Angela. Okay. Joining Archangel Gabriel is the Lady of the Lake. Joining Rosetta is the King. Joining Athena is the restriction card. And joining Rochelle is the Bee. Very interesting. Okay. Archangel Gabriel will talk about having a divine life's purpose in arts and communications. What we do, our whole world is communications now. We're constantly on our devices. So we're all going through an opportunity to not only develop technologically in our communications, but spiritually in our communications. And what I have found is that the generations that are growing up on technology are having more challenges interacting personally. So I feel like what Archangel Gabriel is saying is to turn over whatever insecurities you have about the way you communicate, who you communicate to, how you communicate. Because the Lady of the Lake represents having the courage to be myself, having the courage and the self-respect to own it. And there's Excalibur. So the Lady of the Lake comes out of the water. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Thias Coelho. Anyway, I'm sorry, I don't say that right. But what I want to say is I started off saying this week that the spirit totem was water wings, which is kind of silly and sounds funny. But for me, water wings make perfect sense now. Look at the Lady of the Lake. Her emotions are rather stormy. She's having to come up through a storm to speak her truth. And Archangel Gabriel is here for Aquarius to feel comforted and to be guided and to be supported in that communication. Because here I have the King. To me, the King represents justice, law, things. And again, he's got his sword here. Again, we're cutting through the muck. And then we have Rosetta. Rosetta will talk about teaching and parenting, but in the opportunity, the obstacle with this, the king, what you want and what you desire from a deeper truth. Children are unabashed with what they want. They just say what they want. They don't worry about the price of it. They don't worry about anything. They just declare it. And this is really not about male energy. It's about the law. It's about justice. It's about karma. And I want to say it this way too, because in the opportunity of the obstacle, I'm sorry, in the angel's advice is Athena and the restriction card. This is in direct relation to the king and Rosetta. Athena will say it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. And the restriction card to me is saying, watch how you're asserting yourself. It's about being a little more gentle in your assertion. And if you can't find um, an avenue for your assertion, then I want to say it this way. The restriction card represents a pause, and there is an innocence that you must purport while spirit shows you the karmic experience coming towards you. Because I say that kind of choppy. In the final position, Aquarius, is Rochelle and the bee, and this is ridiculously wonderful. As a result of my being energy, what do I believe? That's where I take my actions. And as I honor and follow the guidance of my heart, prosperity is coming to me. That's more than money. Money is not true prosperity. Money is an illusion. Prosperity is when you feel peaceful in all the facets of your being, your emotional body, your physical body, your financial body, your intimate body, your familiar body. So here, as we stand in courage for our truth and we turn over whatever insecurities or trepidations we have to Archangel Gabriel, and then we stand in that being energy that believes that we are being supported, we'll start to see a new experience. Okay, that was for Aquarius, rising, sun, moon, and stelliums. And now we're going on to Capricorn. And I'll tell you, I'm just 1 degree. Capricorn is sitting, Saturn is sitting on my midheaven. It managed to move 1 degree off. I didn't feel much relief from that. And I tell you, I just get more and more excited every week as Saturn will move further and further away from my midheaven. Get away from me now. God bless you. I love you, Saturn. I'm done. All right, everybody, here we go. On to Capricorn. Okay. Definitely pay attention, Cat. Moon and Capricorn is that's your emotional body. That's how you're going to process things. Okay. All right, here we go. On to Capricorn. First angel is Francesca. The second is Estera. The third is Layla. And the final is Mystique. Okay. Francesca's being joined by Merlin. Estera's being joined by the eagle. Layla's being joined by the owl. And Mystique is being joined by the goblin. Okay, interesting. All right, so Francesca says, what do you visualize right now? Focus in on that and it will come about, because any negativity, I want to offer this idea. Trying to be positive in the face of negativity is like putting gasoline on a fire. It's the most resistant energy in the world because you're literally pushing against your authentic self. So if for some reason you have trepidation or you can't help but pulling yourself, over towards the dark side, the fearful side, the I don't win side, that's when I want to offer you guys an opportunity to go into the neutral zone. Find an activity, whether it be a crossword puzzle or something where your mind doesn't go from one side to the other side, because it's in that moment that spirit has an opportunity to change your experience. And once the experience has been slightly changed, then it's easier to go into the belief, because there's something happening. Merlin is the grand wizard, again, representing karma, balance, justice. In some ways, it's like the king, but the king magical. So there is things going on that you may not be able to see, Capricorn. And so your job is not to look at what is practical sitting in front of you, what you think is realistic. It's more about looking. Look, she's actually, for some reason, do you see the moon behind the flowers? It's almost like she's looking through, I don't know why I just focused in on that moon for a minute, because I want to say this, in your opportunity and or your obstacle for Capricorn, and no, Reynalda, you did not miss Sag. We're headed that way. Astera says to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and not to compromise. This is not about looking into the realistic world and seeing evidence with your eyeballs that what you want is there. This is a different vibration. It's more faith-based, because here's the eagle, and the eagle is the connection to the angelic realm. And this is your opportunity, because there's always going to be a moment. We're living in our human bodies, and no matter how connected we are to spirit, you could be, a pope, you could be Gandhi, you could be the most, spiritual person. The human experience is riddled with doubt. It is. And if we surrender to that doubt, sometimes it actually gives spirit an opportunity to show us a different story, because in the angel's advice is Layla and the owl. And it is through your connection to these. Every week we talk about a different way to connect with spirit, whether it be an animal totem, numbers, colors, the types of trees, scents. We've talked about like eucalyptus. As we connect with nature, it will help us cut through the muck, through what is our truth and what is someone else's truth. What is the deception that I'm living under, that fear will foster us, making us thinking that we're making practical decisions. But what we're really doing is making a decision based on trying to cut off a pain that we're projecting out into the future. Because I say this because in the final position for my Capricorn rising, sun, moon, and stelliums, I have Mystique, who's saying keep charging ahead and expect miraculous solutions. And then I got your ego rubbing up at me going, miraculous this, I want some proof. And right now, the proof is not tangible. Right now, Mystique is a card of process. She's coming out of the dark and into the light. This is very much that song from Gloria Estefan. So I want to offer this, because to hate your ego, or to try to exterminate your ego, is almost like trying to kill yourself, honestly. It is part of the human experience. It's part of the contrast. It's part of the grand design of empowerment. So again, putting on your water wings this week and allowing yourself to be supported by spirit as you swim through these kind of challenging emotions, this sort of back and forth between feeling good and feeling doubtful of yourself, feeling confident in your actions, and then feeling insecure or wondering how you're landing on others. Again, Mercury's going direct, but we're still in that Mercury storm period. So we're going to start to see communications, are going to start to clear up, but there still may be moments where we personally feel slightly snarky or impatient. So overall, for Capricorn this week, I want to say that the things that we're manifesting, the things that we want to experience on this planet, I believe that we are very much, as I said earlier, we're being activated right now. We're being activated to turn our lights on. And as we illuminate our light of our truth, spirit will bring in experiences that will support that. Because again, this is a transit that only happens once every 184 years. It's revolutionary in its opportunities. And as we stand in our own revolution, I've been wanting to title one of these videos, "You Say You Want a Revolution," like the Beatles song, because that's what I think is really going on. And it's not about war, it's about love and peace. I want a revolution. I want to experience more peace, more self-love, more fun. Excuse me. All right. Let's go on to our Sagittariuses. Oops, what did I do here? Okay. Sagittarius, sun, moon, stelliums, and who might get flagged? What does that mean, small wildflowers? Okay, here we go. No, have not done Scorpio yet. I go backwards, so I'm heading towards Aries now. I'm on Sagittarius, rising sun, moon, and stelliums. I don't know what that means either. Oh, right. If you put that in the title. Oh, because, oh, I get it now. I get what you're saying. Okay. Copyright or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Sagittarius. Our first angel is Ariel. The second is Athena. The third is Indriel. And the final is Caressa. Okay. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Kim. Okay. So as I'm pulling cards, I'm immediately going to Jupiter still in Sagittarius for a few more months, I think, maybe another month and a half. Not quite sure the date it goes into Capricorn. But first, so the Goblin is joining Ariel. Athena is joined by the Lady of the Lake. Indriel is being joined by the Stag. And Caressa is being joined by the Focus card. So Sagittarius gets to enjoy the last few weeks, let's say, of Jupiter being in its natural sign. And I want to say this because I believe in this combination here that many of my Sagittarius has had an opportunity to experience spirit from a whole new way, which is actually making them more aware of their ego. And I want to say it this way because, again, I don't want to villainize the ego. I don't want to always say that the ego is out to get me. Sometimes the ego will give us a pat on the back and a boost up. It may scare us once we get up on the next platform, but it's willing to do that. So I want to offer this idea. As you connect with spirit and then thank your ego for working with you and your higher self, I believe that you're going to see, and I'm going to the fourth position, a whole new chapter in your life. Caressa talks about a happy new beginning, and this is about our focus. So I feel like for my, for Sagittarius, so natural ninth house, it represents higher wisdom, connection to the angelic realm, foreign places, foreign ideas, foreign beliefs. So I feel like for my Sagittarius this is a period of time when you've really been able to examine your beliefs. And then here in my opportunity or my obstacle, we have Athena who's saying it's loving, it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself in your new beliefs. And here's the Lady of the Lake. Again, Excalibur, the truth of our heart. She's coming up through water. It may be slightly stormy as we recalibrate our beliefs to align more to the wisdom of our ego and how it serves spirit. Because in the Angel's Advice is the Light Worker card, Indriel, and the Leadership card of the Stag. So I feel like this is an opportunity for my Sagittarius to stand up in not necessarily in leadership of others, but in leadership for your own truth, which then marries your ego to your higher self, which offers you a new opportunity to start a new chapter and to pay attention to the focus. The ego will pull our focus. The ego will say, you're not good enough. And the ego can be very loud. I had a client last week, and she was so generous to tip me. And I got triggered after she left that I don't remember my readings. Once people go, so does the reading. And for some reason, I was holding myself accountable for remembering a reading I'd given her a year ago or whatever it was. And I couldn't shake it for days. For days, I looked at, obviously she had enjoyed the experience. Why would she tip me? She didn't have to do that. And she didn't do it ahead of time. She did it afterwards. But my ego kept messing with me and saying, are you sure you're valuable? Are you sure you know what you're doing? Are you sure you're even intuitive? I don't know. Maybe you're full of you know what. And that's what this whole conjunction is about. It's all about this inner reflection, I want to put, and then a claiming of our truth. Because it would be ridiculous for me to throw myself under the bus. Sure, I have something to work on. We all have stuff to work on, but that doesn't mean that we throw the baby out with the bathwater. All right, on to our Scorpios, guys. Here we go. Thank you, small wildflowers. Thank you. Okay, here we go, Scorpio. So Mars is entering your sign. I just want to tell you guys, if people irritate you, you might want to be ever so slightly more patient with them. Mars might spike you a little bit. Here we go. Aster is your first angel. The second is Caressa. Wow, Caressa is really showing herself today. There's Opal in the third position, and the final position is Indriel. Okay. Ooh. And joining Astera is the focus card as it flies out of the deck. Okay. Caressa is being joined by the letting go card. Opal's being joined by the deer. And Indriel's being joined by the king. Okay. Scorpio. So reach for the stars with your dreams and your desires and don't compromise. This is really about the lack of, or don't compromise. And I don't mean this is about telling your next door neighbor, I'm going to do this. This is about telling spirit, thanking spirit, and saying, you know what my participation is to focus in on that big dream, focus in on that experience, focus in on what it is that I really want. And I want to say this because I don't necessarily think this is about children for Scorpio. I think it's more about the inner child for you. But I want to say, no matter what your desire is, if your desire is to win the lottery and to sit by the pool every single day and be fed grapes with a palm frond, I don't care. It's about the intention that you put to spirit that will start to create the manifestation of that. And your willingness to believe you're deserving of that is how we allow that in. Because in the opportunity, the obstacle is the letting go card and Caressa. And not right now, I want to say it this way. You guys who are here every week know that this card represents Let It Go from the movie Frozen. And now I should say Frozen 1, since there's a second Frozen coming out. But this is about, it's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. That is where the end of the cycle comes. And I'm not going to say that fear is going to be removed from your life. I'm saying that you're going to process it from a different place. You're going to start to see how fear can empower you or slow you down, because you are ruled by Mars and Pluto, and you do dig deep. And sometimes in the digging deep, you want to be careful with your surgical tools. You don't want to nick a nerve, right? Mars represents sharp objects, surgery. So does the eighth house, because in our angel's advice is Opal and the deer. And I want to say it this way, because Opal, when I'm talking to the potential of over 200,000 people, I don't go to the idea of babies immediately. I go to the inner child. And this is where God and the angels are watching over the inner child that is innocent and doesn't know that it cannot achieve. So it's about being gentle and diplomatic with yourself as you learn how to refocus on your dreams, not the things that scare you, not the things that will trip you up, because in the final position is Indriel and the Lightworker card and the King. Again, I'm going to say this is about justice right now. I don't feel this is about male energy. I'm getting this justice is about this whole period of time, every nook and cranny, every up and down, every boogeyman that jumped out of you and every angel that supported you. This is going to make sense. This is where the karma comes in, because again, I just can't help but see how Indriel's light above her head, we are being activated. Every single one of us, whether we're aware of it or not, are being activated by our divine selves to be authentic to our divine selves, to that higher version of what we want to experience. And I want to offer this to everybody, but to Scorpio. When we're struggling sometimes with what we're seeing in the real world and what we're experiencing versus what we want, the ego will really get up our grill and say, I don't know if you're going to get it. But the higher self is holding space and a knowing that is unwavering. It is unwavering. So you're not being completely thrown under the bus when you lack focus. But when you come into alignment, when you bring your ego in alignment with your higher self, that's when we can move mountains. That's when you can see the wisdom of the challenge, the wisdom of the unknowing, where the ego actually facilitated your greatest exhilaration. A few months ago, I saw this guy on America's Got Talent. I think I mentioned it on one of the broadcasts, where this guy had that. I'm going to say it wrong, but I think it's acrophobia, and that's not right. I don't know if that's spiders. It's not spiders. The guy was afraid to leave his house. Okay, just totally gripped in paralyzed fear, and he worked with a psychologist or somebody, and somehow this guy convinced, or whoever the person was, convinced the guy with the fear to go and do a comedy act on America's Got Talent. And when he walked out on the stage, you could see his fear just coming at you. You could see how he was so out of his element. And the audience embraced his act. I have to tell you, I don't know how far he went on the show, but he walked off that stage in that moment a new man. And that's, whatever the fear of being stuck going out of your house is. I never get those right because I don't really want to focus in on the name of fears. I prefer they'd be a little fuzzy. But thank you, Cole. So if anybody wants to throw that in the chat, let me know. But anyway, so I want to offer that for Scorpio, that, if you find yourself in a situation where you're more assertive than you like, or you're, harboring some of the Mars energy that might be more challenging, it's also an opportunity for you to say, it's okay to be me. It's okay to be assertive. Maybe I have to be a bit assertive in order to make what I want happen. But your biggest assertion, your most powerful and influential assertion, will be your focus to spirit and your gratitude, your thankfulness for it. I don't believe in pleading. I don't believe in saying, please give me this, because there's a resistant energy to it. In many ways, I feel like spirit is like a computer. If I want to, hit the F key and I want F as the key, if I hit G, I'm going to get G. I got to hit the F key. So anyway, all right, let's go on to our Libras. Here we go. All right. Libra, here we go. First angel is Adriana. The second is Maya. The third is Grace and Antoinette. And the final is Azure. Okay. Good morning, Jennifer. Good morning, beautiful brown skin. Good morning. If I didn't say Cole, good morning, Jason. I think I said hi to Kim Bean. Okay. All right. Joining Adriana is the frog. Joining Maya is the Baird. Joining Grace and Antoinette is the letting go card. And joining Azure is the love card. Okay. You guys, I think y'all know by now. If you're new, I'm a Libra sun, Aries rising, Taurus moon. And I feel like I totally get this for my Libra sun. We have Adriana, who says we are being led to the answers to our prayers, through our dreams, through our desires, through our intuitions, through those subtle yearnings. And if you look really, these two children are following the angel without even looking where they're stepping. In some ways, this is what Libra must do, because it's time to make sense of our emotional baggage. It's time. When I looked at this, I felt like Spirit was saying, I don't believe that we can really release a challenging experience once it's happened. I personally cannot do that, but I can turn it into a tool so it makes sense to me. So I don't need to harbor it in a way that pulls my light away from where I want to go. So to me, Spirit is giving me, Libra, an opportunity to make sense of what's come in my emotional body. What injustices will be just. Somehow they'll be reasoned out. And I'm going to jump to the final position, because Azure is saying your desired outcome will happen in the very near future. Have faith and don't try to force it. And there's the love card. I don't think this is about love outside. I think this is almost about general love. It's about the world feeling a more harmonious place. Libra represents balance, justice, fairness. And the world has felt very unfair lately. We had recently just had a shooting at Saugus High School here, which is not far from where I live. It's about 100 miles. And, when I was going to school, these things didn't happen. You didn't have to worry about, going to class. And nowadays, it's very, very different. So the reason I'm saying this is because I believe that for Libra, sun, moon, rising, and stelliums, a sense of harmony and peace is what we crave, not just for ourselves, but for the world in general. And what I want to say is I feel like for Libra, in my opportunity or my obstacle, there's the Baird, which represents my history. And then there is the Maya, who represents schooling and education. This is where my story starts to make sense to me. It starts to transform from the thing that anchors me into a sad place to the thing that ends up empowering me. In the angel's advice, we have Grace and Antoinette, which talks about having compassion and seeing things from another point of view, another person's point of view. And then there's the letting go card. This letting go card for me is really, it's the total song. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small. And the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits, to break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. So for Libra, I want to say this week and in the weeks coming, this is an opportunity for spirit to make sense of your story, for spirit to use your story, no matter how broken that road was, it will be blessed. That song by Rascal Flatts, Bless the Broken Road, it makes sense of the love story of two people. And so I feel like I'm getting chills all over. This period of time feels very transformational in the interior. Pluto represents what is unseen, what is in our psyche. So as we allow for this transit to, is as we're gentle with ourselves, that's what I think this is about, is learning to be gentle with ourselves as we sit somewhere between who we are and who we want to be. That's the way I guess I want to put it. Okay. And it's going to turn out pretty good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's go on to our Virgos. Yes, everybody add a number. We're going to have 2 winners hopefully next week. We're going to pull 2 numbers and see if we can get a winner. We've been on quite a losing streak, but I think that's going to end. I really feel like Saturn is part of that losing streak. It's drying up everything. So I'm not too bunched up about it. 157, I think, is out of play, Christine. I'm not sure. We will be putting a recap in at some point. Please bear with us during the afternoon time to put in the timestamps and the recap of the numbers. Gets a little crowded on Sunday afternoon. All right, here we go, Virgo. Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon, Virgo stelliums. Our first angel is Aurora. The second is Indriel. The third is Serena. And the final is Maya. Okay. Okay, joining Aurora is the High Priestess. Joining Indriel is the Death card. Joining Serena is the Frog. And joining Maya is the Wasp. Interesting. Okay, for my Virgos. Aurora says, you're flying high right now, which may threaten others, but don't descend because they will soon be inspired by your example. For me, the threatening is, I think, outside the box. I'm thinking in a way that doesn't seem necessarily practical or realistic. And then I have the High Priestess. I want to offer this for my Virgos. The High Priestess is a card of inner knowing. It's a card of intuition. It's also my version of myself. What is it that I want to experience? And I want to say this because Virgo's known to be a very practical sign, rules the 6th house of work. And I mean, other things other than work. But where I'm going with this is I'm going to go to the final position of Maya and the Wasp. I feel like you're getting an education, Virgo, that if you don't follow your heart, you get stung somehow. That somehow if you're dumbing down or you're basing your decisions on practicality or reality or somebody's version of what they think you should or be, then I think that there might start to present a challenge. I feel that there is a part of you that wants to, I'm going into the opportunity, the obstacle. I think that Virgo's ready to shine their light and they're ready to transform into that place that is a little bit different, because I want to offer it this way. And I'm going to try to be more succinct and go around. In the angel's advice is Serena and the Frog. Serena is a card of abundance. She'll talk about money, but look at how relaxed she is. In this position, meaning meaning being in the angel's advice, this is not about money. It's about the law of allowing and allowing spirit to bring everything that you need. And in doing so, that shifts the way you think. It allows you to release so much of that practicality of having to push it forward, having to make it happen, having to color inside the lines. So, what I want to say for my Virgos, especially if you have a Virgo stellium, I really want to go there because then you're going to have a concentrated influence of being practical and realistic and dependable. And, all those words speak to somebody else's opinion of me, somebody else's uh, idea of how it should work. So here we're breaking the box because Virgo's going to start doing things the way they want to do them, the way they perceive them. And in the beginning, in this over the next few months, as people adjust to how you move, you may feel a little bit angry as you go through this situation because there could be a part of you that's very excited about what you're learning or about what you're willing um, to birth into the world. And there may be others who are just like, what are you talking about? Are you kidding me? You're never going to make any money at that. You're never going to succeed at that. Do your best as if you can to just until your version of yourself is solidified. Try not to tell the people that you know that will be the naysayers. And part of you may be drawn to a naysayer because you want somebody who's practical to give you confidence or give you confirmation is a better word. And I think that this is a bit of an interior job for Virgo right now. And that's what the High Priestess will be about. So this is an opportunity for you to truly shine your light, to know that God is in charge of bringing you what it is you want, and in many ways, being able to release the obligation of others. But before that happens, you may feel a little bit challenged by that education from Spirit, a reminder of who you really are. Okay, here we go. On to our Leos. Absolutely, goddess energy. Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I really believe that's why the souls that are here now that have incarnated and who are at whatever age you're at going through this conjunction. When I talk about this conjunction, I'm really focused in on the Pluto Saturn deal because, here it is, fear and our interior bodies, our inner worlds, they're coming together to transform us. And in doing so, transform us the way that technology has been transformed. If you kind of think about it, and I don't know how old everybody is. You guys know I'm 60 years old now, officially 60. It's so fun. Yeah, it is. I'm catching up emotionally and mentally. But I want to say this because when I was in my 30s and cell phones first came out, it was like totally cool. But the way the world has completely transformed in technology, I don't know that the human experience is caught up. So I think that's what this conjunction is about. It's about the human evolving spiritually to catch up with what technology has to offer. So we don't do something kooky with our technology, like some of us already have. Thank you. Okay, on to our Leos. Here we go, Leo. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Cindy. Good morning. Welcome. Good morning. Did I say Irene and Violet? Yeah, the South Node. I've not been talking about the South Node as much, just because there's such a concentrated energy between the three, because the South Node asks us to be egoless during this situation, which is nearly impossible. So, and what does K2 do? It eliminates. So this whole time is just like, honestly, to struggle to find yourself right now, to not feel these things would actually amplify it. So again, that's why I go with the totem of water wings this week, allowing yourself to be supported when you can't quite swim through this place. Okay, let's go on to Leo. Our first angel is Akasha. Our second is Ray. The third is Indriel. And the final is Shanti. Well, those are some new angels. Thank you, Violet. Okay. Oh, All right. Joining Akasha is the birth and the rebirth card. Joining Ray is the partnership card. Joining Indriel is the swan. And joining Shanti is the eagle. Okay. All right, Leo. So Akasha talks about being a spiritual teacher and having the ability to counsel others. And then we have the birth and the rebirth card, which is an interesting thing. Okay. Because I want to say this. I don't think that this is about talking. I don't think it's about talking, teaching. I think it's more about um, people experiencing Leo. So Leo rules the fifth house, which is high school education. So there's a certain amount of education, rules children, rules pleasure, rules romance. What if your job this week is to actually give life to a rebirth to the things that you enjoy? It's been interesting to me because I felt like Leo has been sort of going through this period of wanting to, I don't know why I want to put it this way. I don't want to say dumb down, but be more of a team player. And I don't know if Leo is always meant to be a team player. You know, Leo's bright and sunny and gold and shiny. And I think I think there's a way of expressing that without taking over and being, obnoxious in that energy. And I think that's where Leo has had an opportunity. You don't want to be so big that nobody else gets to be in the room. And you don't want to be so small that there's so many people you get crowded. So it's finding balance in that. And I say that because when I look at this, I don't think the partnership card is about outside partnership. I think it's about this connection to spirit. Ray will talk about yoga and exercise on the face of the card, but she's in a meditative position. Her power comes from her third eye's connection to spirit and her ability to talk through her heart chakra. That's what the blue and the green stripe are. And then there's the partnership card. And I really believe this is your opportunity because in the angel's advice is the swan and the light worker card. And again, I want to say it for those of you that just come in on your timestamps. I believe that we are being activated right now. I believe that part of this transit, the challenge of this transit is to activate the deeper truth of us, the light within us. So Indriel offers that. And there's the swan, which is a transformation of our intuitive gifts. We are naturally intuitive beings. And Leo, I want to offer you this because Shanti is saying there's more peace coming as you continue to stand in your own integrity for your own wants and desires, and know that as you connect to spirit, more and more evidence of support in that. And I want to say it this way too, because the world does not have fun. We struggle having fun. People are like, I can't go do this. I have to work. I can't go do that. I have this obligation or I have that obligation or I need to do that. Leo is the opposite. Leo kind of tends to go, I want to have fun. And, I don't know if I want to, have to work right now. So what Leo does is find work that they love so that they can combine the two. This is the gift I think Leo has to offer. So as you stand in that and you give life to that, you are actually teaching others by claiming yourself and claiming yourself in a way that is in partnership with your soul's level. Exactly, Violet, connected at the soul level. Then you'll see that you are one of these beautiful light workers that's being activated right now to allow us to make this earth plane the playful, fun place it's supposed to be when our challenges are focused on our biggest desires. It's fun to have challenges when we're rowing towards something we want. It's not fun to have challenges when we're doing somebody else's story. And almost every person who, works in an administrative place or works in service is moving somebody else's story forward. And it's not that that we shouldn't have those people. It's just we should have balance within that. That makes sense. Okay, let's go on to our Cancers. I like to call you moon children. It's such a prettier way of saying it. Okay, here we go. Again, we're talking Cancer moon, Cancer rising, sun, and stelliums. Thank you, Mimi. I think Cancer's been going through a bit of it. I got to say, I've kind of felt it. I think it's a little bit, sometimes it's weird. Those of us that are connected in a way that isn't just walking through the earth like, hey, that we see maybe a bigger picture. Sometimes it does feel heavy when we see so much. I mean, literally, I was watching the news the other day, and I got to tell you, I was horrified. They were talking about random acts of violence, and cameras had caught this guy walking down the street and just backhanding this lady, this woman, right in the face and knocking her over. Then they went to some other guy who's just walking by this older guy and just pushes him out into the street in front of a car. And I'm just like, what? What? I mean, I had to say, I didn't even know what to say. I'm so blown away. And at the same time, I thought, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to focus in on the random acts of violence. We're going to shift that around. And then the next thing you know, I saw Chip and Joanna Gaines started this whole random acts of kindness, and really old-fashioned kindness, like, can I mow your lawn? Can I pick up groceries for you? That kind of kindness. So I want to say this. If you're sensitive right now, and with Mars going into Scorpio, if these things inflame you, go on a media detox, okay? And if you can, stand in the light of where you want to be versus all this stuff that's coming at us. Because, I couldn't help but think as I was walking down the street the other day that, I wonder if because there was a guy, I was walking down the street back home from the market, and there was a woman walking towards me. And as she approached me, she said, there's a guy down the way and he's just screaming. I don't know what he's saying. And literally, because of that TV thing with the random acts of violence, I turned and I walked the other way, across the street, and went the other way. So, I mean, just don't give in to the darkness. Yes, little things, opening the door for somebody. You don't have to spend money, saying hi when you walk by somebody on the street. Exactly, be the change. And this is where the activation is coming in, guys. And it's not easy to be the change when we're swimming through so much spikiness. So, okay, on to our Cancers, right? I didn't do Cancer yet, did I? I just lost my place. Small wildfires, I'm on Cancer, right? I think I'm on Cancer. I totally lost my place. Somebody help me. Did I do Cancer yet? Yes, I did Cancer. Okay, I'm on to Cancer. Yes, okay. Aurora is the first angel. The second is Akasha. The third is Athena. And the final is Teresa. Okay, here we go. Ooh. Well, interesting. These two pop out. So Aurora is joined by the Novice, and Akasha is being joined by the Wind Fairy. Cancer rising, Cancer sun, Cancer moon, Cancer stelliums. Joining Athena is the Perception card, and joining Teresa is the Focus card. Okay. All right. Aurora says that you're flying high right now. Don't descend. But I want to say this. I don't know if I think Cancer is really flying high right now, to be honest with you. I feel like Cancer wants to be flying high right now. I feel like Cancer wants to break the box of their thinking and to do something a little bit, I want to say it this way, when I think I get this sort of a potpourri of people I know that are Cancers in my mind's eye. And some of them are very confident in many areas of their life, but then there's these little nooks and crannies that kind of crawl up and make them feel doubtful and insecure. And I feel like that Aurora is asking you in many ways to allow yourself to feel secure as you think differently than you may have thought before. And this isn't about other people, it's about yourself. Because the Novice is offering an unstable new beginning, skill without practice. So these may be concepts that you run across, or ideas that you've had that you want to implement, but you're not really sure how to go about it. So I want to offer it this way. Allow yourself the privilege of new thought, and not having to examine whether the thought is, viable or pliable or realistic. Just allow for that, because I go into the opportunity. The obstacle is the Wind Fairy. And the wind fairy is all about my thoughts and my analysis and how do I think. And Akash is a spiritual teacher. So you have something, Cancer, to learn about your thought process. And here we go. In the angel's advice is Athena and the perception card. So this is about lovingly asserting yourself towards what you want. Sometimes when I think of Cancer, I see the episode of Star Trek movie when Spock dies the first time and he says through the glass, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. And that's what I feel like Cancer tends to do. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of myself. And I feel like this is the opposite. Cancer should allow themselves to start to put themselves in a position of priority. Because as you do that, then you inadvertently allow others to give themselves a position of priority. Because in the final position here is Teresa, which says, I'm taking care of everybody else, and the focus card. So for me, this breaking of the box idea Aurora offers and the unstable new beginning comes as a result of not just focusing on others, but allowing myself to focus in on me and what my desires are, and to pay attention to a little bit of the inner critic that will knock you down. And when I say that, I mean it this way. You know, as you start to contemplate what you want to experience, what you want to feel on this earth, you may hear a peanut gallery of voices of people that you know, and your perception of how they will receive that, how they will process it. And that may make you want to shut it down. I don't think you're supposed to shut it down. I think it's the opposite. I think you may end up finding out that people are more supportive of this point of view or this idea. So that's what I want to say for Cancers. So focusing in on yourself a little bit, on what you really want, and allowing to give, not necessarily taking action right away, but noticing your thought process and how your thoughts interrupt your own desires. Okay, going on to Gemini. Yes, the peanut gallery. My dad used to use that term all the time. Oh, the peanut gallery is something to say. It's funny. I give myself away sometimes with my verbiage. It's what I really laugh is when I go, that's bitchin'. Do you guys remember that term? That's bitchin'. If that is the 70s, I don't know what is. Howdy doody, exactly. I used to get told I looked like Howdy Doody when I was little. I had freckles and my cheeks were a bit fatter. Anyway, all right, here we go. On to our Geminis. I found, Bonnie, I have a lot of Gemini moon people around me, and I don't know, that's kind of messing with my mind a little bit. Okay, here we go. Our first angel for our Geminis is Patience. The second is Francesca. The third is Shanti. And the final is Caressa. Okay, joining the Patience card is the Mystery card. Joining Francesca is the Cow. Joining Shanti is the Raven. And joining Caressa is the Restriction card. Okay. All right, so Patience is a time of learning and studying and of gathering information. It's not about sitting on an egg. It's not about holding your breath. It is the opposite. It's about paying attention to your choices. The Mystery card to me is the ultimate card because it's God's free will. You know, we can be presented with all sorts of things, but we choose in many ways. We may choose out of habit. We may choose out of fear. We may choose out of selfishness or elation or excitement or whatever the motivation. But here's an opportunity for Gemini to actually observe how they make choices. And I want to say this because in my opportunity or my obstacle, Francesca is saying, what do you visualize right now? Focus in on that because anything other will bring in a different experience. And I want to offer it here because this cow is representing the law of allowing right now. This is the cow will talk about nourishment, about abundance, but it's about asking and receiving. So really, Francesca is saying, are you focused in on the fact that you will receive? Or are you focused in on the fact that maybe you haven't received up until now and you're making that history of yours, bringing it into the present? Because In the angel's advice, there's a timing issue. This is the raven. The raven is about timing, about magic, about synchronistic events. So, what if whatever it is that you want to manifest, whether it be a relationship, a job, a home, a financial dynamic, what if the opportunity for that was not viable until now? And Shanti's offering you peace as you're able to see your own focus, what your own focus is, and are you really allowing it to come in? Sometimes we want something so badly that we really don't look at the quality of it. We don't look at whether or not it'll be something we really like, or we just want to jump at it. And sometimes having the opportunity to observe, okay, our choices, it'll shift something, because in the final position, I have Caressa and the restriction card. And I don't think this is negative right now. I think it's because if you got what you wanted right now, it would not be as aligned to a deeper truth as it would be if you're patient enough to wait and observe until the waters are correct. Caressa talks about the end of a life cycle, bringing in new happiness. So I just want to put it this way. I'm just going to kind of like give you a scenario. All right. Let's say that you've met somebody and you've been single for a long time and you really like them and you're like, wow, we really jive. Now, the other side, that person maybe not has not been single for as long as you've been. And maybe they're just a little bit not ready to be in a partnership, not ready to be in a compromising situation. But you really, really, really want to be in a partnership. So you hold the line for that. This is, to me, where you have choices to learn. As you learn, that as you make your choices and you trust and observe that potentially that this restriction is going to bring something back to you in a much more palatable, influential, potent, and more savory way. That's how I want to say it. So for Gemini, I believe that this is a time for the laws of allowing yourself to ask Spirit to give you experiences that you can receive that will then realign your focus and your mind. Because being a Gemini, you are going to, contemplate both sides of the story. You're going to look back and forth. And sometimes the back might take over the forth, and we don't want to do that. Okay. All right, here we go. On to our Tauruses. The thing about divine timing that I want to say for who said that? For Jason. Okay. Jason, what I want to say, divine timing is there's a couple things going on. Yes, there may be somebody who the timing is, but also our ability to allow for things to come in is like a magnet. I think of it as a pulley, almost as if I'm drawing the experience into me. So I do contribute into the timing of it with my faith. Things can move quicker when I have my faith than when I'm looking at it and saying, oh man, I don't know if I'm ever going to get that. I hope that made sense. Okay. Timing is scary because we tend to always look at it as Mount Everest. We're scared when we're young, we're scared of being too young. And when we're old, we're scared of being too old. And when we have money, we're scared of losing our money. And we don't have money, we're scared we're never going to get money. I mean, this is the human experience. And watch the TV and your body's going to fall apart. Allstate's going to have to come save you when you crash your car. I mean, it's like one thing after another. I was watching with the Water Wings thing. I got pulled to go to On Demand and watch kids say the darndest things. And let me tell you, what a joyful show that is. Just in this innocent place of, I don't know, I couldn't explain it, but it really helped realign me. I'm just so tired of the darkness, the anger, the frustration, the blah, blah, blah. All right, here we go. Here we go. Taurus rising, Taurus sun, Taurus moon. All right. Our first angel is Bethany. The second is Xana. The third is Ray. And the final is Crystal. All right. Stephen, you've been awfully quiet. Did you leave the room? You might have. It's Sunday morning. Maybe you went to brunch. At least it's Sunday morning here. Oh, I gotta hurry. Okay. Bethany is being joined by the Fire Fairy. Xana is being joined by the Spider. Ray is being joined by the Movement card. And Crystal is being joined by the Earth Fairy. Okay, Taurus. Okay. Taurus has been kind of put through the ringer a little bit lately, guys, you know, with what Uranus moving into Taurus last year and then all this back forward stuff. The early born Tauruses have kind of taken a little bit of a 1-2 punch. And I want to say this because Bethany is saying it's time to take care of yourself and to have optimism and to have creative action as a result of that. It is kind of time. Uranus rules independence, rules freedom. And so if indeed Taurus has been trapped in a dynamic that didn't work for them, then, or that was headed down a road that would not work for them, a bit of a surrendering to this shift and really looking deeper into what it is that is about taking care of you. What does it take to take care of you? When I say that, it's like, you know, we think of Taurus, you know, second house, we think of Venus, we think of, you know, food and rich experiences in the earth plane. So on some level, this is actually calling Taurus to think outside the box a little bit because in the opportunity obstacle is Xana saying you're being protected. And here is the Spider card. And the Spider card for me represents creative projects on the face of the card. But for me, it always kind of has represented relationships. Whatever gets into the web is not coming out. It's staying. And that is a cooperative relationship sort of circle of life. And what I want to say is that as you Tauruses give life to a bigger version of what you want, I believe it will stick. And that you've been in many ways protected from a bigger story because you on some level have been calling forth this shift. This connection that Ray offers, it's my power comes from my connection to spirit, from my deeper truth, from what my real heart is. And there's the Movement card. And in the final position, we have the Earth Fairy and we have Crystal. The Earth Fairy is so Taurus, okay? It's about new foundations. It's about a strong foundation. And then Crystal is saying have faith and hope because there's more on the horizon that you can't see. So what I want to say for Taurus, this, you know, we do these shows every week, but life doesn't go in weekly compartments. You know, we don't feel one way one week and then a different way another week. They seem to dribble into one another. And then they end up telling a story. So I feel for Taurus that it's time to tell a bigger story, a story that is more in alignment with what you want and allowing this Uranian energy to liberate you from whatever has held you back, from whatever has made you feel that you are in an obligatory energy, that you are in a dutiful energy, and to allow yourself to know that, you know, second house rules our possessions. Those are the things that we like, the things that we buy, the things that we play with in some ways, you know? So beauty, makeup, you know, so allowing yourself this privilege of a new foundation in a new evolution, an elevated viewpoint of what this shift has to offer. Because on some level, I believe you've been calling forth a bigger experience. So my moon is in Taurus and Uranus is going to hit me at 9 degrees. So I've thought about what is that going to mean for me. Taurus is, you know, or my moon is my emotional body. And I've been single my whole life. And I've always thought that I would get married at some point or have a partner. And as the decades went on and on, I thought, well, I'm going to be really old when that happens. But I still believe it's going to happen. So what if when Uranus hits my moon, it gives me independent emotions? It liberates me from what has happened before and offers me a new experience. So rather than being afraid of Uranus's electric shocking energy and something, oh, maybe that electric shock is actually something that's exciting, something that brings me more into alignment. So that's what I want to offer for my Tauruses, is to kind of start to think optimistically because there's something you can't see. There's something your soul has been calling forth and your personality may not be quite aware of it. So that's where I'm going. All right. We are La Luna. We are now on the final sign of Aries. I go backwards from uh, Pisces to Aries. So we're wrapping this up, and we're going to go on to my Aries rising. And let me just tell you, it dominates me. I'm telling you, unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the really interesting part about it is, as I was growing up and being my little anger ball, I never noticed it affecting my physical being. And recently, now that I'm more aware of the things that are going on the um, between the transits, my own personal growth, the connection to spirit, the implementation of the laws of attraction, I can actually see when my body takes on something I'm not emotionally addressing. So, about a month ago now, guys, I don't know if I told you this, but I had an old boyfriend buy me a car, and he never actually gave me the car. And 10 years later, he's still paying for the insurance and all that nonsense. And I couldn't stand it anymore. I didn't drive the car anymore. It was, it felt like it had bad energy attached to it. It wasn't insured properly. I gave it back. And I don't have a car anymore. I live in California and I don't have a car. And I have no intentions of getting a car. My body reacted to that in a big way. The day I made the decision, I did it in anger. I did it in frustration. I did it. I didn't like feeling like anybody's charity case anymore. And the next morning, I woke up and I had hives all over my hands. This hand, in particular, these two fingers. And what I realized was that my anger was because I was receiving inauthentically, at least from my perspective. And the left side is where we receive energy. So I did some Reiki on myself and I acknowledged it physically. And within a few days, it pretty much cleared itself up. My point is that I want to say that, you know, during this time, being able to see the correlation between what we think, what we feel, and our physical bodies will tell the story of how we're processing things. Okay. Thank you, Bonnie. That's very sweet. Maybe I will start a podcast. All right, here we go. Let's go on to our final sign, Aries rising, Aries sun, Aries moon, and Aries stelliums. I know somebody who has an Aries stellium and their Mars is in the 12th house, and they are not as effectual as you'd think that Aries stellium would be. It's interesting. Okay. Our first angel is Omega. The second is Crystal. The third is Aurora. And the final is Desiree. Okay. Cindy, I'm in Laguna Beach, California, Southern California. Thank you, Jules. Okay. Oh, something flew out. Joining Omega is the Lady of the Lake. All right. Joining Crystal is the Grail Knight. Joining Aurora is the Frog, and joining Desiree is the Horse. Okay. So Omega talks about victory. Keep up the good work. Victory is coming. And then here's the Lady of the Lake. Man, has she made herself known today or what? Again, courage to speak my truth. David Cochran, I've only seen one of his shows, and that was on Lada's channel. And when he talked about Aries being the truth seeker, I felt like I had been liberated. I felt like I had been unshackled from this anger ball that everybody thinks that my Aries rising can be. Because it's usually, I'm really not an angry person. I just don't like BS. I don't like somebody telling me something that I know is not true, and then me feeling like I'm choking as I try to swallow it. So for Aries, your victory is really going to come from your ability to stand in your truth. It's not about telling people or schooling them. It's not about that. And I'll tell you why. Because Desiree is saying conditions are not favorable to assert yourself towards others in a way that will be disruptive to yourself, because the horse is an intuitive card. It doesn't follow fear. So I'm really feeling like exactly the BS meter, exactly small wildflowers. So this is a week, I feel like, when I say week, this is a time when you really get to choose whether or not you want to go into that situation, because I don't know that it will serve you. You could go in and say, you know what? I don't think this is necessarily true. And it could just end up being an exercise in frustration, because I have in the opportunity, the obstacle, Crystal's back, and there's the Grail Knight. Again, the Grail Knight is holding Excalibur. Excalibur is the sword of truth, and only the purest knight could pull Excalibur out of the stone. And there is Crystal. Have faith and patience, patience and faith, and don't try to force anything. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And then in the angel's advice, there's Aurora again, and the frog. Aurora talks about breaking a box of thought and pursuing something in a way that others will look at it and think you're a little bit off center. But I feel like what I'm seeing here for Aries is that as you allow yourself to kind of do things your own way, and yet being mindful not to lob off the heads of those around you or to be too aggressive in it. It's more about allowing yourself to be assertive on an interior place, in an interior world, emotional world, spiritual world, and then sort of saying to yourself, okay, maybe you're from the school of thought that you'll believe it when you see it. Fine, no problem. I will see it when I believe it, and I'm going to assume that position. And in doing so, I'm not going to rub up against how you perceive it. And that's where I think the real power comes, because I don't even know if this is about a particular situation as much as it feels like an emotional dynamic for Aries that's being offered as we stand in the deeper truth that Pluto wants us to stand in, and as we transform the fear that Saturn creates and turns that into an empowerment exercise. So for Aries, victory comes through your standing in your truth. This is not about, again, declaring your truth to others and making sure they believe you. It's more about being authentic to yourself, to the sacred part of you, even though there's no evidence. And as you stand in a different thought, you will find reconciliation. You will find peace of mind. The challenge may be is that others may not follow you right away. So you're going to have to sort of stay the course. And I want to say it this way. With Mars entering Scorpio and Mars ruling Aries, you may see the deeper truth so quickly. You know, Scorpio sees through things like there's nobody's business. I can't quite explain it. Sometimes they'll see it through the challenge of the fear, but they see it nonetheless. So with all of these things kind of coming around, this is an opportunity for Aries to stand in their truth, have the self-respect to know that not everybody's going to see it. But as I stand in it, there are untold opportunities, not only for those that observe Aries, but for Aries themselves. Because I feel like this is the beginning of a new tool that Spirit will give you. A tool that will take the edge off of you and yet still remain the impactful, assertive dynamic that you offer. Okay. I think that's where I'm going with that. All right. So that was that. That's it for this week, I think. I'm going to pull 2 numbers next week or today for next week. So we'll see if we can get someone to win. I want to encourage you guys, stay away from the master numbers, stay away from the 111s, the 222s. Play with the regular numbers a little bit. And before you put your number in, because I know we said the first one in wins, since nobody's winning, take your time. See if Spirit doesn't give you a number to put in. Maybe you'll be going a few days and you'll be like, wow, why do I keep seeing a 7? What's a 7 about? Maybe I'm supposed to put that number in. Maybe we'll try it that way. All right, guys. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm here on Lada's channel every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific time with messages from your angels to help us traverse these transits and to connect with them in a more palatable and influential way. If you'd like to book a reading with me, you can find me on Lada's website under the readers menu. I'm available pretty much every day except Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. because I'm here with you guys, sending lots of love to you. Appreciate you all so much. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Namaste.